Let's look at the Weaver. Weaver does offer some pretty good tactical scopes now. This one that I'm showing here is a 3 to 15 by 50 tactical. This is a 30 millimeter tube. It's a 3 to 15 power, which is a very good magnification range for a variable power long range scope. I think that anything more than 15 in an optic in this price range is a real bad idea. Up to 15, you're going to be kind of pushing it in this price range again, but it shouldn't be too bad. Like if this was a 24 power, you're going to have to start using some higher quality glass than are used in a lot of these. But this is a good a magnification setting. This one's in the mil-dot or milliradian-based reticle here. First focal plane. So the features are good, and they're available in the MRAD turrets. So your turrets are going to match your reticle. Huge deal. That's really good design. So I always kind of did have a soft spot for Weaver. I'm trying to give you a totally objective review as I possibly can. But let's look at the quality. And I'll be honest, Weaver, this is a higher-end Weaver. Some of their more competitively priced stuff is not really high quality. But this particular one is a higher quality optic. The tracking should be pretty good. Not as good as some of the real high quality stuff, but it still should be good. The internal build quality is pretty good. Again, on par with like Burris. It'd be comparable to Burris or Nikon or one of those probably. Optical Clarity is not bad. Overall ruggedness, it's not really going to be heavy duty like some of these full bore military grade scopes, but it's going to be okay. It'll pass. And the general quality, for the money, this might be an okay deal. But honestly, even as much as I do like Weaver, just from warm childhood memories from my hunting scopes and stuff that I've used, I would probably recommend trying to go for something else, because in any kind of optic like this where you got a variable power, like we said before, once you get a variable power, you really need to start demanding some really, really, really high quality stuff for our applications, for our extreme range shooting. I wouldn't feel comfortable trusting something in this price range in a variable. If they offered a straight Weaver in this tactical setup, I would be all over it. I'd say that was an excellent deal. So if you do want a budget variable optic, it's possible that Falcon I talked about earlier would be better, just because it's way cheaper, and that's gonna if you want a budget optic and a variable that's gonna be imperfect anyways. I mean, the Weaver and the Falcon are probably going to be kind of comparable as far as like their weak points. So if you really had to get a budget scope that was invariable, then I might just go for the Falcon Menace, just because I wouldn't be risking a lot of money. But again, if you're spending as much as you are on this Weaver, there's definitely way better optics out there for that price range. So although it is pretty cool, I'd say there's better choices out there for if you got that amount of money. And we're going to look at the Zeiss Tactical. These are used in a lot of militaries. The Hensoldt 4 to 16 by 56 is what we're going to look at. I don't know if this particular exact model is used by a lot of militaries, but this setup in a lot of the 6 power, the lower magnification settings is what's used. 34 millimeter tube, that's a real good size again. 4 to 16 power, first focal plane reticle, and the reticle's an NH1. It's kind of a little bit goofy of a reticle. It's not like a mil dot, but it'll work fine. And you just need to learn how to use these different reticles. And you got the MRAD turrets. So the features on this Zeiss Tactical are pretty good. It's going to be comparable to any other well-made variable military-grade optics. And let's look at the quality. Although Zeiss is not on par, just generally speaking, for a brand name with some of these other optics, their Tactical Hensoldt scopes, they really put a lot of resources into these, and they're kind of pricey. But so your turret tracking on these particular Zeiss scopes are really good. And mind you, again, when we're talking about these brands, I'm connecting these brands to certain models. So not all Zeisses are going to have this grade, but this is the best one I could find. So this is like it's over $3,000. It's a real high dollar scope. But the turret tracking is really good. You get an A. Internal build quality, they're built very, very well. Optical clarity on this particular model is very, very good. Overall ruggedness, as we said before, it's variable power, so it doesn't get an A, but it's still going to be rugged as far as variable powers are concerned. So the overall score on this is going to be an A. This is a really good scope. I would not be sad if I found one laying on the ground. However, I might have a hard time spending that kind of money on this particular scope because you will find better scopes actually out there for applications with better optical clarity and better ruggedness. And even when the U.S. Marine Corps was testing these, like we said before, they went through all these different models, and they did end up going with the PM2 Schmidt-Bender. So, and that's cheaper than this one. So a lot of times you'll find some of these brand names do get kind of cocky after a while, maybe, and they seem to charge a lot more money than the value might demand. And I don't want to pick on any brand names, but I think I'd have to be honest. I think that Leopold was one of those brand names for a long time. Leopold is primarily a sporting optic, and they do make some good stuff on their high end, but for a long time, they like to charge a lot more money than was warranted for what they were actually offering. Now, their Mark IV long-range tacticals are really nice, but like we said before, some of these, you know, it's if you're talking value, some of these are not near as good a value as some other ones. And Zeiss is one where they do like to charge premium prices as well because they do have a really good brand, they have a really good reputation. You know, Carl Zeiss, they make like really good microscopes and they make all kinds of really good high quality glass. So a lot of it is brand name. So that's kind of a basic overrun of these different optics here. Now, hopefully after we've done this, you should be able to now basically, if you don't see the exact scope you're looking at, after all that we just went through, you should be able to make up the same set of criteria, this chart, and do exactly what we just did. You got a real good idea now of how to sort through all this information because there's so much there. I mean, we're looking at a lot of different things. You got to consider all the features, and you got to kind of represent that somehow. And then you also got to look at the quality of those features, and you got to prioritize basically based on what you actually need. And like we talked about, we really focused on turret tracking. That was a huge deal for us. And so if you don't see the exact scope on here that you were looking at and you're curious about, I would recommend just doing exactly what we just did here. And you might have to go online and look up all the different, you know, if you're not sure if it's first focal plane or second focal plane, a lot of times they won't advertise if it's second focal plane because now they know that people kind of think that's desirable. So they're trying to hide that they're second focal plane. But you might have to do a little searching on the computer there. But you should be able to figure this out pretty good now. And like before, if you really get confused or something, you can try to send a message, and we'll try to point you in the right direction as best we can. But that was applying all that we've learned in the last few videos on optics features, our optical parameters as far as features, and our quality. So we just did a real good selection there, and we did a bunch of real quick reviews on that.